gunning for trouble. 007. It spells Bond.
It's the 50th anniversary of James Bond films, and with it comes Skyfall, the 23rd installment of cinema's longest-running franchise. I'm Wendy Bounds, and here on Off Duty, we are digging into all things 007, from Bond girls and Bond cars to an interview with a Bond himself, actor Roger Moore, who has just written a book, Bond on Bond. Now, only 6 men have played 007, but there are dozens of beautiful women who have played alongside him. Let's take a look at how they looked then and how they look now.
She clung to me like a wet bathing suit. Who are you?
My name is Pussy Galore.
Who are you?
Bond. James Bond.
Plenty.
But of course you are.
Plenty are too.
For the gentleman, vodka martini, shaken, not stirred.
I will take care of Mr. Bond myself.
Someone will take care of you.
Thank you, Mr.
The name's Bond. James Bond.
Ksenia Sergeyevna Onatop.
Onatop?
Onatop.
Magnificent view.
It is, isn't it?
Now, James Bond is known for driving some pretty hot cars, but here's a little known fact. The stunt team on Casino Royale, they made it into the Guinness Book of World Records after barrel rolling Bond's Aston Martin DBS 7 times. Now let's check out some cars that can make you look and feel like 007 with Wall Street Journal's car guru, Dan Neal. Now, over the past 50 years, James Bond has driven some of the coolest and the fastest cars, from the Bentley to the iconic Aston Martin. Now, here to help bring you 7 cars that can make you look and feel like 007 is our own Dan Neal. He's right here with me. Hi, Dan.
Hello, Wendy. How are you?
I like that. You're channeling your inner Bond. Let's start with number 1, the Tesla Model S. Why would Bond be in this car?
Because Bond's a creature of the future. You know, he always has the latest and greatest toys, and I think it's fair to say that this is the most futuristic vehicle available on the road today. It's also beautiful, sleek, lovely. Got a great brand name, you know, super smart, and it goes like a bat out of hell. From 50 to 120, there are very few bad guys that are going to catch Bond in the Tesla Model S.
And this is an electric car, so he's basically going to have a fancy gadget to recharge him at any point, I assume.
Yes, well, you never see Bond at a gas station, so, you know, you have to suspend disbelief with regard to the recharging as well. I mean, you know, Daniel Craig would look silly there swiping his credit card there on Long Island, you know, and just, you know.
Very good point. 17-inch touchscreen, though. He would like that. Let's move on to the Porsche 918 Spider. This isn't out yet, but you think James would like this?
Yeah, I think James Bond needs big caliber armaments on the road, and this car will be monster. It has a 500 horsepower V8 in the middle of it, and then it has 200 horsepower of electric torque vectoring in front. Goes like crazy, very sexy, very beautiful, the most advanced and the fastest Porsche ever be made, and really a high watermark of that kind of technology. Dead sexy.
He would have to get approval from back home, though, to spend on this. We're looking at around $845,000. I mean, he wrecks it, you know. That's a chunk of change.
Are you kidding me? Have you seen MI6's budget? I mean, you know, they throw money at the problem.
All right, he's good, he's good. And if he's looking into the future, there's also an Acura NSX you found for him.
Right, also, again, very similar in configuration to the Porsche. Both these cars are sort of adjuncts of these companies' racing campaigns. Both these cars will be raced. They're both, you know, very advanced, and both are extremely cool. You know, the thing is that, you know, Bond should not be getting out of something with, you know, scissor doors. You look kind of idiotic, really. So these are grown-up fast cars, very important.
Bentley Continental GT Speed. Tell us about it, Dan.
This is a sentimental favorite. First of all, because Bond originally drove a 4.5 liter, that they call a blower Bentley, 1930s. Those are in the books. That's the car that Ian Fleming put him in. And I believe that Bond should be driving, I think, properly an English car. This is the fastest Bentley I've ever made. It's dead cool. Look at it's big. It's bad. It's definitely a Bond-like car.
0 to 60 in 4 seconds. I hear that sounds pretty Bond.
Yeah, and then it's a very fast escalator to 200 miles an hour.
All right, Bond in a German car, the Audi R8 5.2 FSI. Decode that for us.
Well, you know, the deal is this: Bond's product placement deals have been occasionally heinous and egregious and laughable, like when they did the BMW Z3, which is it's a manicurist car, and but Bond's driving it, right? So it's supposed to be fast. Right. Yes, that's my thought about that.
I think your thought.
You can have a German car and it's okay, and it's also beautiful, fast, very sexy.
All right, Daniel, we like you for your opinions too. These are Daniel's opinions. The McLaren Spider. Tell us why Bond would be in that.
Wait a minute, Wendy. What was that supposed to mean? Are you distancing yourself from my opinions?
No, tried to throw that in there.
This is the company policy. Everyone knows that. Now, regarding the McLaren's also British built, and it is the best handling sports car in the world. What does Bond need out of his cars? He needs evasion capability. Nobody's going to catch you if you're driving a McLaren 12C Spider, and it looks amazing.
Now, what about finally a Mercedes? You've picked a special Mercedes for James Bond. What is that?
Yeah, this was a late-breaking entry in our list. It's the 300 Mercedes SLS Roadster. The car became famous as the latter-day Gullwing, and then they made a convertible out of it, which is great because the convertible is actually quite a bit easier to get in and out of. If Bond is going to seduce Bond women, not girls, Bond women, you just can't ask them to fold themselves into a Lamborghini. That is not arousing. This car, easy to get in and out of, hugely masculine, not to put too fine a point on it, a very long, large, oversized hood. You get the idea.
Oh, Dan Neal, this is why we have you with us at the Wall Street Journal. You can use terms like this. You can also play the ukulele. Could you just serenade us and take us out of the segment here?
I can try. Let's see. I think good.
Well, you can see why they mistake him for James Bond. Thank you, Dan Neal. During his 50-year history, James Bond has killed more than 150 men and enjoyed the company of more than 40 women. Now, in the 1970s and the first half of the 80s, that honor belonged to actor Roger Moore. We sat down with him to find out who his favorite Bond girl was, what gadget he loved the most, and why he thinks 007 still matters after 5 decades.
Can you swim? It's time we said goodbye to an uninvited guest.
He played James Bond in 7 films between 1973 and 1985, and at age 58 was the oldest 007 in A View to a Kill. We are talking about none other than Sir Roger Moore, who is joining us here at the Wall Street Journal at New York's Hudson Terrace. Bounds, Wendy Bounds.
Thank you, Wendy.
I've waited my whole life to say that to a Bond, and now I get to do it. The 23rd installment of the Bond film franchise coming out now, Skyfall. I'm wondering why you think Bond still matters so much to people after all these years.
Well, I don't know whether it's important. It's important to me because I was part of it. But I think it's because what I usually say, people say, why do they go on so long? Because they are telling a fairy story. And so it's the same with Bond, that you're going to have good will beat evil.
Right.
You're going to have a beautiful princess.
Right.
And you're going to have a nasty villain.
Right.
And they'll ride around in extraordinary carriages and have all sorts of wonderful gadgets that Merlin makes for them. I think it's become part of a cult. Sort of men went to see it, then took their sons,
right.
And now the son grandfathers go to see it.
You were in 7 Bond films. Are you able to point to one as your favorite?
Yes, I enjoyed making The Spy Who Loved Me.
Why was that?
It was the first time I worked with Louis Gilbert, who's a wonderful director. We had the same sort of lunatic sense of humor. It introduced Jaws. It had my good friend Kurt Jürgens as the villain, and sort of very easy to look at Barbara Bach, who I call Barbara Back to Front.
Barbara Back to Front.
But she's got a lot of front.
Hello, he said it, not me. Well, you bring up the Bond girls. Do you have a favorite Bond girl?
Yes, I say in my book, my favorite Bond girl is Christina.
And why was that?
Because it's my wife.
Ah, very smart man. You were so known for the great gadgets when you were Bond. Is there one that you sort of remember most fondly as being the coolest?
Yeah, the magnetic watch.
The magnetic watch.
Unzipped Madeline Smith's dress.
Very nice.
But it was nice. It didn't work. And it was nice for the prop man who was underneath her dress, pulling a wire that was attached to the zip.
Looking at Daniel Craig now, how do you think Bond has evolved and changed over the years since you played Bond?
Well, I saw Skyfall a couple of weeks ago, just a screening with 2 or 3 of us. I just sat there spellbound. I think he is the epitome of Bond. I hope that Daniel stays a long time.
I wonder if being Bond is both a blessing and a curse. I mean, the blessings are pretty obvious. You know, you're very good looking, you get the women, you get the gadgets, you get the fast cars. You know, I'm laying it on thick now, but it's all true. Is there a curse? Is there a downside to being a Bond? I mean, as you age?
No, it's not hard. I'm very grateful that I was able to do it and get away with it for 7 films.
7 films.
But I think when you start looking at the Russians and you say, those chins when you bend your head down, and the leading ladies were looking like my granddaughters. So it was time to hang up.
Time to hang
my
up.
Walter PPK.
So mostly now, what do you do in your free time?
Drinking, gambling,
That's what you're supposed to say.
No, I've now discovered that I missed a great deal by not reading more in my youth.
Interesting. And why do you say that?
Because words become fascinating, and they're so beautiful, so descriptive of what a day is like, or the smell of something.
What was the most exotic place you went to as Bond?
The place I enjoyed being on location, it was Sardinia, where we shot the wet bike for the first time. It had never been seen on the screen. And that was great fun to learn to do and keep dry.
And do you have aside from yourself, do you have a favorite Bond, a favorite actor who played Bond besides you?
Well, I like them all, but obviously Sean, I always said, was the Bond. But I would love to go back and rewrite, because I finished the book about 3 or 4 months ago. I would love to go back and add a chapter about the best Bond.
Interesting. And rewrite that in your book that just came out.
Yeah.
Which is Bond on Bond.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to put that together?
Oh, overall about 6 to 9 months.
If you had any advice for any of the superhero types, the imitators of Bond out there, on how to keep a successful film franchise going, what would you say?
Save your money.
Save your money. Can you say Bond, James Bond, for us?
My name is Bond. James Bond.
I can hear that right now. I think I've got chills. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Wendy, so sweet of you. Thank you.